Well, hello people, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Build Guide 2. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks so much for all the support last week. You guys really enjoyed it, and the battle for the name of the city is still ongoing in the comments because this is recorded pretty soon after the first episode released. So we will leave it another week yet to announce the name of the city, so please keep leaving comments on the first video. But it is wonderful to be back in this map so soon, isn't it? Absolutely love these little churches that we put together in the first episode. They add a lot of personality onto the main street, I think. And today we're going to be working on this horrible industrial area right here. So first of all, let's clear this out and then we can start talking about what's going to happen. And there we go, it is all gone. So we want to keep the game paused while we're doing this, of course, because we've just deleted all our services and we need to replace them now. So let's go ahead and see if we can make a nice little mini complex out of our initial power and garbage collection source. Make something a little bit more appealing, perhaps. So let's bring down this median road. I think this has got a nice little sort of industrial sort of look to it, hasn't it? And then we'll bring it on a little curve. Keep it going straight so we have some sort of spine to place some assets against. And then let's go for right here. Let's see how this looks. Let's place down that oil plant again. I think perhaps we want to go maybe a touch deeper than that. Let's test the depth of our recycling center. Yeah, we do want it a bit deeper than that. And then we also want this road to come down to about here, hopefully. So we'll leave the corner road disconnected here. Actually leads into some pretty interesting detail and opportunities that we can get involved with later on. But until then, let's come ahead now and bring in some pavement pathway. And I'd like to create some little walkable areas here mixed in with some generic industry. So we'll see what we can get going on. Let's go ahead and get those pathways going. And then in the spaces between, I think a lot of content creator live grass or long grass will do well. It's a mix up between live oak and long grass, isn't it? The live grass. There we go. Let's get that in there. That should be pretty handy. Let's not forget about the sewage treatment we also deleted. Let's have that in there. Get that in and delete the bit of pipe it was attached to. Cool. And then we'll just see what develops here. We'll make sure we get the right industrial assets in. That one's pretty tasteful. And we'll let that one level up a little bit, I think. But I think that's a nice little combination now, isn't it? Of our sort of starter service assets for the industrial area. And hopefully a much nicer usage of the industrial zoning as well, I hope. I don't think it's too bad. Might let this one level up a little bit because you can get some fairly nice sort of prop configurations with the generic zoned industry. Have perhaps a little bit there too, and why not? A larger block there, hidden by the trees. And then we can just let those trees sort of shelter that view to the little industrial complex there as well. Very nice. Okay, so we have a bunch of fertile land here, and some nice opportunities to actually lose the entire city in episode 2 because we've lost power. There we go. So let's make sure we don't do that. Fantastic. And water as well. Are you guys alright? There we go. Fantastic. So yes, let's build a farm. So first of all, we actually need to paint a little industrial area out to unlock the farm, and then we'll come into industry, and then we're going to grab farming, and of course we want the main building, and then I'm just going to plot this here for right now. Okay, so we'll have our farm here, and of course we will name this after one of our wonderful Patreon subscribers today. We're going to go for Honey Farms after our wonderful Patreon subscriber Jeff Honey, who I guess you could say is as sweet as honey for becoming a Patreon. Thank you for all your support, mate. Do appreciate you. Welcome into the Build Guide 2 as the first official subscriber name build. So let's come up with this dirt road now. We'll let this meet this median one as it comes out of this road here. I'm not sure if I want to maintain this connection yet. I might actually break this one here. I guess we'll just see how the traffic flows around the build once it's done. And then eventually I would like a road here actually. So let's come back to this 4-lane small road. I think I want to downgrade the 4-unit road into the 2-unit one. I think that's the much nicer aesthetic, and because it's only a tile away, it will maintain its connection. I think I want the sort of smaller road vibe. That's definitely nicer, isn't it? Let's go with that. And then let's get our area painted out too. And then I also want a regular district over this as well, so we can play with the base game vanilla farm stuff. So with the Build Guide 2's farm, I'd like to take it in a slightly more different direction. So we're going to come in with a small animal pasture, and then we are going to need a little bit of zoning here as well. So we're going to come in with some generic industry zoning, which of course is set to be So we will set the district to have farming specialization on it, of course, from this little tab here, which will turn it into vanilla farm stuff, which is important for the supply and demand of the city. The game does want this stuff to be produced, so we'll have to make sure we include it. Same as well with the other 3 remaining industries. They all want the same sort of vibe. Cool, so then let's bring in some dirt road frames here. I imagine eventually at this point we will upgrade into industrial road, but we'll do that at a later date. Then let's go with these dirt road frames, so we'll let these hold farm fields and all this fertile land here. And then we'll do some sort of more built up vibes. So let's grab a loan as well, because we're going to need that. So let's go take 20 grand, that should be okay. And then we'll place down some small fruit fields perhaps. I think we'll do fruit fields here, this should be okay. We will have them all as oranges. Yeah, so we did grow some oranges here. You can imagine there's an old man stood on the side of the road sort of reminiscing about how all this land used to be orange groves as far as the eye could see, etc. So I think we can get away with that, right? I like the orange tree aesthetic there. But I definitely want some sort of warehouses or greenhouses around it. So it has a almost hydroponics facility about it, not quite as sort of heavy as Navaria's, which is quite themed into the snow. But definitely some sort of like modernized, almost mechanized farming here happening as well. Cool. But we will have some livestock, which will be nice. So this is nice. So really we just want to get toward... oh my god, that's so annoying. This swipe perfectly over it. I'll have to extend the district out here a little bit to move the name over. There we go. Now we can click on honey farms. Yeah, so really we just want to wait for the workers to tick over. We need 150. So we'll carry on placing down some fields here. So I think what want to happen here is let's come into the park tab and I want to grab one of these motels that we got from the modern mid-century pack. Just so we can have sort of like a motel on the main road here with some fields behind it. I think that's going to be really cool. So we'll place down the fields and then see what sort of aesthetic we get. Again, we'll have oranges all over this area. I think that's okay. I'd also like to extend a little bit of path on road action as well. So let's bring in these roads down here now. And we'll do the same here for a little bit at least. We'll just sort of see what happens. So these will take crops as well, and we'll get some silos down here as well. But either way, that should hopefully be enough workspaces for level 2. Indeed it is. So at level 2 we'll get the unique factory. And then we can come back and talk about some sort of placements and orientations of our larger, more important farm assets. That will really start sort of tying the build together. So fantastic. We'll just hit a level 2 farm, which now gives us some new and improved options. So let's have a look at unique factories first of all. Because we will get the first one that we unlock, which is the bakery. So he's going to want animal products, crops and flour in order to function. That's going to be fine. Now I'd love to position the bakery. So we have the front of the asset, which is really nice, kind of facing into the roundabout. We tried this orientation before in our creative mode streams, and it's something that works really nicely, especially with a water tower in the foreground as well. And we're also getting something similar to our power plant and our general service industrial buildings over here too, aren't we now? Okay, positioning makes a huge difference, especially with vanilla industry, which can be so tricky to work with. Right, but we can do some nice things here, I think. So we'll go with the factory. I may even end up moving this down a little bit. I guess we'll sort of see what happens. So let's come back into farming, because we did unlock the flour mills as well, which is something that I'd like to place. So let's see what we can do here. We probably will upgrade to industrial road at this point, I imagine, for this section of the farm, whilst we're sort of building up a main facility. Hopefully there. It's going to be a little bit too shallow, is it, for another mill? Yes, it is. In that case, then let's move the bakery down. Cool. So we will take that second loan that we just got, because we do need it. There we go, and we should be coming up to the next milestone soon. Because we do need this cemetery pretty sharpish, because people will start dying. So we'll zone up a little bit more residential, right, where we're getting the demand for it. Yeah, we could do with drawing out some new frames as well. But we'll see what happens here when we zone it. There we go. Oh, this is going to become residential. This is fine. Should take us over to that next milestone anyway. Cool, but I think I'm pretty happy with this. Like these two back to back here as well next to the fields, and partner with the bakery here as well, which of course waiting for its flour. So let's see what else we've got. We can also have the cattle shed as well, which is going to produce animal products, which is something the bakery also wants. So we can have that in there as well. And then why don't we go for grain silo? Okay. It's not too bad, I don't think. Yeah, it's all about sort of just placing the assets in and around each other to create this larger sort of layers and facility with them, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So there's some sort of like industrial scale or, you know, mechanized automated farming sort of happening on this site itself. And we're sort of, you know, creating some larger assets itself, aren't we, with the orientation of the flour wheels there looking across the street. Little motel in the foreground here with the sort of fields on the back of it. I think it works out. It creates a sort of unique sort of charm and vibe to it, doesn't it? But this isn't too bad. I'm not hating it so far. Let's bring things down here for a hot second. Wonder if we can actually squeeze some of the carports into this area. I imagine it actually might work quite nicely. Yes, they will, because we can move the silo over here. And then we can have some almost sort of worker parking here. That's too bad. We can even extend a little bit of poor man's surface painter through that area as well. So we can do that maybe. Feels like that little concrete gravel texture a little more, doesn't it? That makes it blend into a larger, more natural yard here. Okay. So you don't always need move it to fuse, right? You can get away with different things sometimes. So a lot of fencing out the front here is really going to help with blending the vibe in. Same thing with the industry here as well. We'll do a bit of oil fencing. Okay. I do like the containers there. We'll make sure we keep those. Like that one, we let these keep going. Yeah, don't historicalize them yet. Okay, but otherwise, I'm not too disappointed with this. So Honey Farms is now making a tidy loss. Of course, it will sort of bounce up and down as we continue to build it. But again, now we have the capacity and the workers required. It's just waiting for the resource limit to tick over. And then we can play with some of the level 3 stuff, which will be fun. And of course, here is the crazy imports, everyone. Could you imagine this actually happening in real life? Imagine that a farm opened a new silo and every delivery person, every sort of logistics vehicle in the country immediately bombed it to that single address in order to fill it up. It would be quite a sight, wouldn't it? Just Amazon, eBay, Royal Mail, all absolutely bombing it to one field in the middle of nowhere in order to deliver some grain, you know? They need to figure out a schedule for this, don't they, really? Okay, but wonderful. We can probably delete this power line now as well. There we go. Cool. So let's also grab a little bit of farm fencing now. And we will do a little bit of detailing while we wait for the farm to level up. So yeah, I think a little bit of farm fencing here. And then we'll let this sweep up and out in front of the bakery until it lines up with the edge of that road. There. And then we will have some trees around here, I think. We will definitely include some more buildings around the bakery itself, but for right now I just want a general tree line in. We'll mix and match with different things that we've got here. Of course, be careful placing trees around fertile land because you will lose the fertile land to it. So just be careful if you are planning on using it as farmland. Okay, but there we go. I think a little bit of a tree back into it there. We can see the wider facility behind the bakery. Starts to make it look like a larger complex now, doesn't it? Which is really what we're trying to achieve. And some of that base game farming stuff is really settling in now as well, which is great because that's going to really affect our imports. Let's have a look at how the import and export function is balanced at the minute. So we're currently importing a ton of agriculture products for these guys. And then we're also exporting a ton of agriculture from all of these as well. Okay, so I definitely want some more vanilla farming down here at some point. So let's start zoning up some more squares here and maybe different little sort of spots around it. Do we have the maintenance barracks now? Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and squeeze in a few of these. Let's scream out for a little pathway there as well, I think, isn't it? And us, there we go. Okay, so we'll have that in there. Let's remove this stretch of pathway here. Roads here are a real challenge today. think what I'd like to do is almost introduce sort of a secondary little entrance into the processing area here. Let's do that. Cool, yeah, we'll have that there. Because I don't want the sort of entrance to the main facility to be down the dirt road. I'd rather than have a dedicated road on the front, I think. Yeah, they do seem to prefer using that as well, don't they? Unless they're heading back into the farm, of course. Just getting used. Might be a little too close nodes together, but it should be okay. It should be alright. We'll just keep our eye on it, of course. But otherwise, we will hang around and wait for level 3, and then we'll see what we think of some of the new stuff that gets added in. So during the wait for level 3, we have also hit the Boomtown milestone, which does unlock public transport. Very much looking forward to a conversation about how public transport is going to affect the city. Initially in mind, we're going to do something with this. Possibly bring a tram through this middle sort of one-way spine at some point as the city grows out this way, and perhaps some sort of tram square here. And I think it'd be a shame not to include ferries into the eventual sort of thought process, so definitely have some ferries that flow into the downtown eventually over here, which would be really cool to have some ferries sort of flowing in amongst all the towers, so something to look forward to, I hope. And then of course we've got trains available as well. Want to get a nice strong train system set up, both intercity and internal, so once we hit trains at 9k we can get a little train station going here, so that's going to be very fun. However, we did just unlock the cemetery, so we need to place this down. Why don't we see if we can squeeze this in over by the church from last episode. I think the brick wall here will probably work quite nicely with it. I think we can get away with that, can't we? I think I'm happy with that there. Yes, I don't really like using the cemeteries. They're okay for a temporary fix. I do like the stone wall aesthetic, but we will eventually mainly just use cryopreservatories and the Korean one because they're a lot nicer for death care processing, but we're a little while away from those in the milestone yet. Cool, but yes, we will definitely spend probably next episode having a look at public transport and setting up some initial stuff, because we do have trams now, which is great, and also buses. When do we get intercity buses? Not until 7k. Okay, well that'll still be a lot of fun because we like intercity buses. But either way, let's hang around now. We've got a little more ways to go till we get to level 3, so we'll be right back. And the worker count has just dipped down below what I need it to be, just as the resource count ticks over. What the hell? Oh, come on, just give me 2 more workers. It has been set over 550 for the entire time. And just as I need it to go for 1 more. You really going to take that long? There we go. Right, there we go. So wonderful. We now have a level 4 farm. There's not too much interesting stuff that happens at level 3. So we'll include them both together. Also just drop down some more medium fruit fields here. But the building I do want here, which is kind of what I was waiting to unlock, is going to be the level 4 slaughterhouse. Which is quite the Chungus facility. So we're going to have this, I hope, against this way. So let's redraw that dirt road in. So can we come over? Yeah, that's going to work, isn't it? Yeah, and then we can bring this one up. Yeah, so those buildings don't lose their road connection. And again, let's just wrap this road around the back of the current buildings. And I think I'd also like to include some medium crop potato fields in here as well. I really like this centre building that sits within them. I think it's a very nice addition into the larger facility, isn't it? Yeah, so let's delete some roads here. We're probably going to lose a little bit of zoning, but that's okay. Then we'll have 2 of them in. The cotton one is also very nice, but we'll go for potatoes this time around. And then it actually looks like we could reinstate that road connection there, so that building that doesn't go away, because I do quite like that one. Cool. Okay, let's now play with some more dirt road frames. So we can see the depth here is 140, so let's do another 140 out. Hopefully have a little bit further than that is what we need. There we go. So we've got the fertile land here. So I really want to surround the slaughterhouse with fields. Again, it's the orientation of the assets that I'm probably more interested in. I think it's going to pay off. So again, we'll have all potatoes. So we get those nice sort of green rows. Get lots of fertile land here too. And I think just having that position now in the foreground of the slaughterhouse is really going to help the build come on a long way, isn't it? It's also going to help, well, of course, produce a ton more materials, which is always appreciated. And we've got lots of nice vanilla farming in here as well, which is always going to help the economy. So I think we're going to pop a tile. We do have this one to the right of us, which is kind of where we're working with today, and I don't want to be restricted by the tile boundary. So we're going to pop this one first, which gives us access to the mountain, and we can also do some network planning here too, because I definitely want a slip road for the highway here. So let's draw ourselves a roundabout. Let's use the 3-lane one-way roads. We'll go ahead and get our curve tool, and then we'll do a simple 5-curve roundabout. Should be enough for a little sort of country network here. I think that's going to be quite nice. Then we'll grab those 4-lane roads again, I think. Real huge fan of these compact 4-lane roads. They have been a wonderful addition to the game. And then we can have this little sort of road here now that comes alongside the highway, and that's going to be a nice little sort of country network that develops off down there, isn't it, and hooks into you know, whatever goes on over this side. I've no idea yet. So let's also bring this one up sort of along with the ridges of the mountain, sort of a general sort of planning theme for it, like hug the mountain. And then that can be, of course, planned into whatever sits over there. Perhaps we have ended up crawling up the hill eventually to something atop it. Maybe a little sort of viewing park, maybe. Okay, possibilities are truly endless, everyone, with a true vanilla build. It's going to be an interesting series, I hope. Really looking forward to getting stuck into some trams and public transport next episode. It's going to be really fun playing with some of those roads, we hope. We can't actually access them yet, can we? What do we need to do to get the tram ones? Just construct a small pedestrian area service point. That's fine. We'll do that when we come to cover pedestrian areas. Very nice. Then we'll have some tram roads to play with. Yes, please. Can't wait. Can't wait to have those in. Cool. Alright, but I hope now, as we take a little crawl down Main Street, if we like, we sort of, you know, we have town here and we come, you know, down out of town. And we come over here and arrive at the roundabout, and we can see the bakery sort of peeking through the roundabout there and the wider farm facility behind it. And we've also got this happening here too, which is nice. Down here, this one is decorating as well, of course. I think what I am interested to do actually is I've placed in another power plant offline or off camera because we needed it, but I don't really like it there. And now we've got these tiles open. We actually do have the opportunity for some wind turbines. So I'm definitely not opposed to these being up here. See if we can get them all to produce 8 megawatts. We should be able to. There we go. And then let's actually use the power line as part of the detailing in this area. So we'll let the power line run parallel with this little country road here. And then again, it can sort of like cut across it at different angles and lengths and whatnot. And then we'll find something to link the power through, probably an earthquake sensor eventually. But what I'm really after here is the aesthetic of the pylon running parallel with the road. And it will probably actually also help that to happen here as well with this power line. Okay, and then we can possibly have a little look at some detailing here as well. I imagine ore industry fence is going to be the most appropriate. And we want this to hug right against the road. Okay, and we can take that as a possible spice sample now. They're going to have some fencing running parallel with the road there. Borders it off, get some forest next to the power lines. It should be quite fun. It really should. But otherwise, guys, things feel right for a detailing time lapse. Let's bring in some trees, some fencing, some rocks, and general countryside overgrowth as we merge around the bottom of the mountain and expand our networks up. And I'll also sketch out some more suburbia frame as well, so we have that room to expand when the demand comes in. Otherwise, I'll see you on the other side of the time lapse. Okay guys, let's have a detailing review, shall we? So as we arrive at the roundabout now, at the front of the facility, we've got some fencing and little overgrowth patterns through here that does help complement the front of the main buildings. Again, just to provide that kind of sense of like complex and facility that we've got against the main infrastructure here as we enter the city. And then likewise the opposite side with the industrial stuff as well. Lots of overgrowth through here that really surrounds the water treatment building really nicely, and there's a couple of sight lines that I'm particularly happy with today, including this one right here with a little bit of generic industry in the foreground, and then these little props here and the view to the farm, which we'll explore in a second. So really happy with this little combination of generic industry and service assets to help just accommodate them into the city. I think it's a lot more appropriate, isn't it, than what was here before. As we head down the road, we arrive at a diner, which comes from the modern mid-century content creator pack, and also a police station in here as well, just because we're getting a few crime issues around. So dropped in a police station as well to fix that. Then down the road, we've got a pathway with a little bit of fencing, and then actually using the power lines as decoration. I think to kind of establish a more out-of-town sort of rural vibe in vanilla city skylines. Using the power lines parallel with the road can really help with that. And then this roundabout comes down over here, and then this some real simple roundabout decoration with some power lines and an eventual highway connection down there as well. And then this of course sort of goes north and then hugs the mountain along this way. Into the farm itself, we have lots of overgrown sort of farm fence in here, and really super happy with the integration of vanilla farming into this farm build. It's nice to have so many little sheds and little props everywhere. It really helps the farm come together. Of course, we have the mashed potato field in the run up to the slaughterhouse, where we've done some poor man's surface painter using the gravel walking pathways, and then dropped in lots of overgrowth and trees between them to create just some overgrown sort of farmland here next to a farm maintenance building, and then some more car parking for the workers next to the slaughterhouse, which works really nicely. Kind of discovering that since we're playing with all this content now in sort of 2023 with a brand new city, that these carports are coming in super handy for making car parking for builds like this, making a real difference in vanilla. Having those, again, if you're interested where these come from, it's the modern mid-century content creator pack will give you these. Then we can come into some more zoning over here, and more farm zoning, more detailing with the pathways that comes back out and then crosses the road over here, where we have our pathway to keep people off of the roads. And so far, the road systems next to these, yes, also added in another motel as well down here. But what I was saying, yes, is that the road system currently seems to be withstanding everything being thrown at it. Everything's nice and smooth. And yeah, the city is really coming on. It's really cute. We're already sat at nearly $1 million though, just because we're taking so long and so slow and detailed. But everyone in the city is super fine. The farm area now, which is only at level 4, is making a nice tasty profit. And the bakery is constantly stocked. We can probably actually up the production a little bit on this one if we wanted to. But yeah, thanks for all supporting it. Glad you guys are enjoying the start of this brand new vanilla build. It is a ton of fun to play. And please keep all the comments and suggestions and ideas coming as well. But I'm very happy now with this stuff over here. We also had a fantastic comment as well to say that if we want these churches to be true to life, that indeed they should face east, which is a really kind of important note. So we'll definitely do that. I think this way over here is east, so we'll definitely see if we can sort of turn this around. How it face. I guess that's the wrong way now, isn't it? That way would be east. Yeah, there we go. That makes more sense. Thank you for all the kind comments and stuff. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this series so far, and it's yeah, I don't know, it feels really different to play vanilla this time around with all this content and just so many things to go at now with this map. So really looking forward to getting stuck into more vanilla builds. Otherwise, guys, please do enjoy your cinematics. That is going to do it for today's episode. Likes, comments, and shares below really do help me out if you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much if you haven't enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Loads of links down below to more City Skylines vanilla content and modded, plus ways to support the channel if you so wish. I do appreciate you all, especially the patrons and the YouTube members. You guys are real secret blends of herbs and spices. Enjoy your cinematics, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.